Brock. Some other time, some other day here at SportsCenter. Brock Lesnar here with us. He's not an ESPN security guard anymore. He's getting back into the octagon. That coming down on Saturday night. Let's go back 5 years. You decided to walk away from UFC in 2011. You'd lost a couple fights. What was your mentality at that point, Brock, about ever fighting again?
Well, I didn't decide to walk away. I mean, it was more for my health reasons to leave the octagon. I knew that diverticulitis, the illness that I had overcome, and it was time for me to. I jumped back in the octagon way too soon. 6 months after my surgery. I mean, I had 12 inches of my colon removed. Yada yada yada. Here we are. I'm getting back in the cage, UFC 200. That's what it's all about. What? I feel good now, so that's But going back then, I believe that the illness removed me from the octagon. I believe so. But
you wound up staying away for 5 years, and in fact, you retired on a SportsCenter 15 months ago. So what was it that finally made you say, I'm going to do it again?
Well, just the haunting fact that I didn't really want it to be over. And so here we are, and I'm taking the leap and going to get back in, so that 20 years from now I can say I did it, and say, well, what if I would have just did it? You know what I mean? So, yeah, and to get back in there and to prove to myself, more importantly, that I can. So that's why.
You used the phrase "taking the leap" when you announced on Saturday night. What was that feeling like? Because there's no turning back at that point.
Exhilarating.
Really?
Yeah, like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. Like very excited. I don't have to sit here and fake to anybody how excited I am. I think I feel it, and when you feel something, I'm excited. I'm thankful. I'm thankful that the UFC is allowing me back into the octagon. I'm thankful that the WWE is allowing me to do this. It's exhilarating for me. Very exhilarating.
Curious how the conversation went with Vince McMahon. When obviously you're under contract with WWE, you went to him. What was the give and take about you doing UFC as well?
I said, listen, old man, we can do this the hard way or the easy way. And I said, do you want to arm wrestle for it? And he's like, yeah, what the hell? So I ended up beating him, and here we are.
That's it. That's all you got to do.
Yep.
No, did he have any hesitation at all about letting you do this?
None. No. I mean, why would you? I mean, why? I believe that in the WWE brand, I'm a legit athlete in that brand, and I bring a lot to the company. And for me to get back in the octagon legitimizes why the WWE has me in their company. It's a win-win for all of us. It's a win for me, and it's a win for the WWE, and it's a win for the UFC.
What was the number that you had to hear from Dana White to get you back in the octagon? Give me the number.
It's just lots of money. I mean, I'm a prize fighter, and unlike some other fighters that all they ever want is to be the champion. I've been the champion. I've climbed that ladder. I've climbed that mountain. I got to the top of that mountain. At this stage in my career. And back then, you don't get in the cage for nothing,
Right.
and so, but
Absolutely.
you have to be, it's a lot of money. I mean, I can't, I'm not going to relay how much money I'm making on it. I wouldn't do that to either one of the companies. But
it always comes out in the end, though.
In the end,
you always find out.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to believe those numbers, you can. So,
are they inflated or deflated? Which way are we going here?
Inflated.
Really?
Way over the top.
Okay.
So,
you announced today that the opponent, you sort of did this in stages. The opponent is going to be Mark Hunt.
Yes.
8th ranked heavyweight in the world, 42 years old. You're going to be the younger guy in the octagon in July. What did you think? What did you think of that selection when you heard it?
Well, I really, at this point, in the game of fighting, I mean, age is not a factor, I don't believe. I really don't. I mean, you got a guy like Dan Henderson just Saturday night going in. He's 46 years old and fighting like he's, a young man. I feel great. I'm excited for this fight. It's a tough challenge ahead of me. I believe Mark has a tough challenge ahead of him. He's never faced an opponent such as myself. And I'm looking forward to this bout. I'm looking forward to it. He's a heavy-hitting hard-headed human being, and hopefully my athleticism and my octagon awareness and all those things and my wrestling background can play a key factor in me winning this fight.
It's been 5 years. That's a long time to be out of the octagon. What concerns do you have? I mean, there's got to be some thoughts in the back of your head that, how is this going to go? What are your concerns?
I don't really have any concerns. I mean, hopefully we get the rust out in training camp, and I think we are. We will. And if not, the first punch from Mark will knock the rest of the rust off in the first 10 seconds, maybe, and then look out.
How much fighting do you do in training camp?
Well, you have to be able to train for what the job that you're doing, and it's a necessity. I mean, we don't do it a lot because the guys that bang every single day, I want to get in the cage and fight. I don't want to fight in practice.
Right.
I want to simulate fighting in practice so that I can get in the cage and fight for my prize. So not as much as you would think.
Before during the commercial break, we're talking, and you were telling me about your farm in Saskatchewan, a grain farm, and it sounds beautiful up there, and it sounds peaceful and all that. And here you are getting back into what is this a one-off? Is this, Brock, I'm going to do this one more time, get this out of my system? Do you have a plan here? I
don't. I've never had a plan really, other than it's just kind of. Things happen. Life is I really believe that life is about timing. The timing feels right on this. Somehow I always land on my feet. I'm very blessed. I feel very fortunate. Yes, I'll be fighting out of Regina, Saskatchewan. I'm a Canadian resident, and I love my farm. And you can take the boy out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the boy, and that's who I've always been. And I'm a farmer. I'm happy to say it.
He's definitely got at least one more UFC fight coming up July, UFC 200. Brock, we wish you the best of luck. Thanks for joining us. Great talking to you.
Thank you.
Kerry, back to you.